Welcome to YOUCANIC Garage. Today we're gonna show you how we troubleshooted some electrical issues on this Mercedes. So modern cars, not only Mercedes, they have a lot of different control units, a lot of systems, and a lot of components. And sometimes even a really small issue could affect a lot of things on the car, and that is the case here. So went through all the troubleshooting steps on this, and I found what the issue is. I will show you at the end, but let's first look at the symptoms here, what we got going on. In this case, this vehicle does start, but we have a number of malfunctions. We have a lot of issues. So parking brakes does not work. You can see backup camera doesn't work. The car will start, but backup camera doesn't work. What happens as well, the car cannot actually, even though it starts, it can lose power after a few minutes. We have all these warning lights there, SRS malfunction, and so on. And after we did some more troubleshooting, we noticed on the back none of the lights work. So backup light, turn signal, brake lights, nothing back there works. So I think there is a lot of things going on here, so we're gonna kind of narrow it down. So what we're gonna do next, we're gonna do a diagnostic scan and see what shows up on the report. We're gonna do a quick scan. This will go through all the control units on the car and will give us a report at the end, and we can look at all the fault codes. Now you can see we're seeing fault codes on the various control units. Pretty much almost all of them are gonna have something. At least in this car, since it's got all these lights and warnings, and basically the back half of the car, it seems like it's not functioning properly. So you can see there are more fault codes. You can enter them, but we're gonna let this finish the scan. You can see we're gonna get a report at the end that gives us like all the codes. Now in cases like this where there is a communication issue, these scans can tend to take a little bit longer than usual. So if you scan in your car and it's taking 3, 4, 5 minutes or more, sometimes it means that you might have an issue with one of the modules that's affecting your CAN bus network and one of the CAN networks, and that can prevent the various systems communicating, and that's why the scan is taking takes a long time. It usually takes a couple of minutes in a healthy car that's not full of communication issues. So we're gonna let this finish though. Okay, so the scan is complete. This did take a lot longer than usual, but that's part of the reason is because there's a CAN communication issue. You can see a lot of different control modules have fault codes, and you can enter any of them, or you can click this arrow here and look at the drop down and see what those codes are. But what I like to do is go to report down here and then scroll all the way to the bottom. Okay, and then here we have the list of all the codes stored and current. So you see them by module. You can see activation pump and diagnostic module. There's a short circuit, fuel, no communication with the fuel level sensors, so the fuel gauge is not working as well, by the way. It says no communication from control unit N73, yes. Under voltage at terminal 30, a lot of no CAN message. So you can see in the instrument cluster there's a bunch of no communication, no CAN messages from the headline, parking brakes, rear signal acquisition module, and suspension control unit, and so on. So as you can see, it's full of fault codes. Okay, I can keep going here. ABS has a number of codes. Now some of them are stored and are old, they can clear, but a lot of them, as we saw, they're still current. Aromatic has a number they're stored, so these can clear, but you can see no CAN message received from rear SAM. So again, no CAN message from rear SAM, and so on. So we had the symptoms where basically no signal is coming from the rear of the vehicle. Now, and the list goes on and on and on. So if we kind of put it together, the one that we see the most is no CAN message and the rear SAM control unit. If we go to the fuse chart for the rear SAM control unit, or the rear fuse box, Mercedes calls it SAM, signal acquisition module. There's a front SAM and a rear SAM, but this is basically the rear SAM, or signal acquisition module, which is practically the rear fuse box. If we look in here, what's covered by it, all these different things that don't work for us, like are basically in this list. Our fuel cuts off. I mean, the car will start, but then there is a no response from the gas pedal, so the fuel pump is not putting on the pressure. And you have so many things here. The parking brake, the tail lights, they're not working. They're all listed under the rear SAM. Okay, so which is making us wonder if there's an issue with the rear SAM itself. So let's take a look at that. On this vehicle, the rear fuse box, or the rear SAM, is located right there. I have one here that's been removed. Now, I was looking at the chart of it, and basically a lot of things, everything that's all the systems that are not working. If you look at the pins here, I'm trying to see if they get power. Looking at it, they all get power from this line here, or this line here, this line and this line. So if we look carefully, it says F32/4. Okay, so if we go to the chart location that shows where all the fuses are, which is this right here, it shows the diagram where the different fuse boxes are. So if we go to this, we see that there's F32/4, and that is over here under the passenger dashboard. F32/4. So I have that here somewhere. And I have printed that as well. You have a blown up picture right there. But let me show you this right here. So if we look at this right here, this is our F32/4. You can see right there, it says right on the top there, interior pre-fuse box. On our chart here, this is the diagram for the rear SAM. We can see that this terminal 16 and 14. Before we go to this F32/4, the box over there, I want to show you how to test. We want to check it and see if there's power coming to the SAM. So we're going to test terminal 16 and 14. If you flip this over, if you look there, that says 16. If you look there, that says 14. So both are positive. Both are bringing, both lines that plug in here should bring power. So you take your multimeter and we put it to DC voltage, that symbol there. I have one line on the ground, just touching the ground of the vehicle. With the other line, I went and tested there where those lines come in, and you should be getting 12 volt, right? We were getting 0. We're getting 0 volt. So there's no power coming there. So if we go back in here, we're gonna go to our F32/4 fuse box, which is under the dash up front. And if we look at this one here, you can see the number F3. If you say, it says rear SAM control unit with fuse and relay box. So that's what's providing power to this rear SAM. And there's also there's another front SAM control unit. It's fine in this case. Everything on the front SAM is working fine. There's also a rear SAM control unit. There's F3 and F10. So this line right here and this line F10 right here, those needs to be checked. We want to make sure that there's fuses there. They're like high fuses, 150 amp fuses. We need to check that those are not blown. So that's where we're going to go next, and we're going to check that out. Over here, you pull down the carpet and this panel, and then you'll see the F32/4 pre-fuse box that we saw on this. Okay, so you can see we have these two main lines there, 2 lines, and then this right here. So what we do is we checked for voltage there to see if there was voltage coming here. So I'm going to show you how I tested that in just a second. So right here we have our multimeter and we're measuring voltage. And what I did is I connected the negative to the bolt there for the seat, and then we measure here. If we come here and we measure on that bolt, we're getting 12 volt. You can see there 11.1. But then when I measured on this line here that goes to the rear SAM, okay, according to the diagram here, to the F3, when I was measuring that, I got nothing, 0.3. Okay, so there's fuses there on the back, 150 amp fuses, so you can, technically you need to replace this whole piece, but it is possible to replace individual fuses. You just have to modify that a little bit. But as I pulled this apart, what I noticed is that this on the back, it was pretty corroded. Over here, it was very corroded, and the same thing on the other side of the bolt, it was really corroded. So I gotta clean those up and put it together, because I checked the fuse to see if it was blown, and the fuse itself is actually not blown. It's this contact here that feeds the rear SAM module that's corroded and not sending power back there. And remember, there's another F10 as well, but this tested fine. So you can see F10 is this line right here. This tested fine, that wasn't an issue, but the one over here, that one did have an issue. So I'm gonna clean it up, and we're gonna check a real close up of this right here. If we look on the back here, this was our fuse for the rear SAM, and it's pretty corroded there. Okay, so the fuse itself it's actually fine, but if this can focus, there's a lot of corrosion in there. That's what actually preventing the rear SAM getting power. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna take these bolts out, sand it down, and clean it and put it together. So now I have that reconnected, cleaned that up, got that on pretty tight. So here's a test. We're gonna go and start the car. So we have one malfunction for the air suspension, but everything else is gone. Brakes are working. We're gonna see if backup camera is working. Our lights are working. Check that out. So that was the problem. That's what was wrong. Now, if you have an issue like that, you're gonna keep checking voltage. So if you have voltage at that point, then you want to check from there to the SAM, maybe the line itself. But if you don't have voltage here, this goes to there's another pre-fuse box. If you come here and look at this chart, in the engine bay there's another pre-fuse box, and it's this one right here. And then you can see it's for the engine compartment, and that's for the front SAM. So in this case, I guess it wouldn't affect our rear SAM, but if you're dealing with the front SAM, you have that fuse box, which is in this S class is by the engine on the passenger side. Let me show you. There's the engine, and there's the pre-fuse box. So this is what feeds that front SAM. So if you've got issues with the front SAM, things that are controlled by the front SAM, such as like the air suspension, anything on the front, headlights, things like that nature, then that's where you want to check. Now we have all these codes here, and so we're going to clear them. Alright, so we want the ignition on, but not running, and you can see there. So what we're going to do, we're going to hit erase all. What's this going to do is going to go through all these control modules, and it's going to clear fault codes. A lot of them are all stored. Now the issue has been resolved, so you see that how those codes are clearing up. Airbag. It doesn't mean there might still be an issue here and there, but pretty much we had so many issues. Really, technically half of the car, the rear end, wasn't communicating, anything that goes through that rear SAM wasn't communicating, and now it is. You can see no CAN messages, no instrument cluster. So once this is done, it's going to go through everything. Then you can start up the car, and then you can focus on those one or two issues that you might still have left. But yeah, that's how you troubleshoot some electrical issues, not only on Mercedes, but really any modern car these days. They're going to have a lot of different control modules. Now Mercedes might have, let's see, 52, but other car makes, any luxury car is going to have around the same, whether it be Lexus, BMW, even Genesis or so. They're going to have a lot of control modules. Some of the little bit less complex cars, they're still going to have about 30 control modules. So you do need a scanner that can go into each of those control modules. And again, we didn't enter any of them to read codes individual, live data, or do any individual tests on the specific control modules, but you can. Like with this scanner, you'd be able to look at live data from, like, let's say transmission temperature, or ABS. Or you can look at individual ABS wheel speed sensors, so you can actually figure out what's wrong, or air suspension, and so on. This is still going. It's going to take another minute. There were a lot of codes here, but most of them are clearing. You can see. Then there are going to be a couple left that we just need to go back and figure out what that is. But this was something that took a little while to figure out. It seemed easy once you figure out where the issue is, but really, and it is a very simple fix. Like you saw, it didn't really cost us anything, but it was pretty tricky to narrow it down and find out. Anyway, thank you for watching YOUCANIC, where you can be the mechanic.